Welcome to another podcast of stories and innovations in ALS with Lisa Deegan, and I'm McFinn Levere from Everything ALS.
Welcome to Stories and Innovations in ALS, episode number 6, A Brother's Legacy and a Sister's Love. My name is Lisa Deegan, and I am joined today with McFinn Levere. We're storytellers who have both been affected by ALS. We're joined today with our guest, Deb Fabricatore. She is the Director of Patient Advocacy at Everything ALS. Our mission is to bring stories of those affected by ALS and to share their journey and to share their efforts of those who are investigating and innovating to find a cure for this devastating disease and other rare diseases. Our mission at EverythingALS.org is to leverage technology with the goal of a quicker diagnosis and a more accurate prognosis of ALS. For those who don't know exactly what ALS is, it's a motor neuron disease that causes loss of muscle, such as walking, talking, and eventually breathing. And on average, people live 2 to 5 years with ALS, and there is no cure. We're excited to have Deb as our guest today. She's been an advocate for many years as she lost her brother to ALS. So thank you, Deb, so much for being here with us today and sharing your personal story and your journey with us. Let's get to us. Tell us, Deb, please, how ALS entered your life, and can you please share more about your brother Johnny with us?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, McFinn. So ALS entered our life, as it does many others, out of the clear blue sky. My younger brother, Johnny, came to visit us one day, my daughter and I, with his family, and I noticed that he was walking funny and his arms looked a little off, just something was a little off. And I sat down with him on the couch and I said, "What's going on with you?" And he goes, "We don't know yet." And they had just begun seeing the doctors in that very long journey of getting diagnosed. With John, his diagnosis didn't take the 12 or 18 months that it does many people, because he had a very aggressive form of ALS. So after a few months, they were able to diagnose his disease. And that was our entree into a club that nobody wants to be a member of.
Yeah, so he was one of the few that do get diagnosed early, because most people wait a year or more.
Correct.
So at least you, was it bulbar that he had? Or just an aggressive form?
Just a very aggressive form, yeah. But you had asked me to tell you about my brother Johnny, and I was thinking about that. And there's so much to tell. He was such a wonderful man that I thought if I could take a couple minutes, and I thought the best way to maybe describe him would be to read a little bit of what I wrote for his memorial service. Would
Awesome.
that be okay?
Great.
And so I'll do that now.
Okay.
It is often the little things that move us the most. My baby brother John was born October 19th, 1959. Back in the day, women stayed in the hospital for almost a week after giving birth. So just a few days or so before my 5th birthday, my dad's big blue car pulled in front of our house. My dad stepped out and around the car and held the back door open. Out came my mother with a white cardboard bassinet with pink and blue stripes. She held out the box for me to see my new baby brother, Johnny. When I looked in and saw him, I was certain that he was my birthday present. The reality is that from that day forward, he was a gift, a true gift, not just to me, but to all of his friends and family. No one knows exactly how long we will live, but eventually all that will be left of each of us is the pride our children or loved one have when they speak our name. It is because of that belief I know how very much of John is left here with us. Paulo Coelho shared a belief that when it is our time, God will ask only you one question: did you love enough? We all know John's answer, which was evident in all who crossed his path, whether in an intimate way or simply a chance encounter. I remember Victor telling us the story of going to a Yankee game with John. He said there was a very elderly couple sitting in front of them. And before he knew it, John was massaging this much older woman's shoulders while her husband looked on smiling. The next thing Vic knew, this woman was giving John an enormous meatball sub to eat, as Vic looked on enviously. John had that famous or infamous boyish grin on his face. He touched all that he met. His honesty and absolute pure goodness emanated from him always. Most of all, Johnny loved his family, the family he was born to and the family he created. That love is his legacy, a legacy that can transcend to all of us. We can experience it when we put aside small and large hurts and allow love in. When we pick up the phone to call a friend or family member, when we speak in loving terms of those who we do not understand or disagree with, and when we make those difficult decisions that take us on the moral high road, when we choose a path that is kinder and when money isn't our motivation. This is how we can keep Johnny's spirit with us, and this is the legacy of Johnny that we can choose to pass on. So I'll stop there. There was more that was more personal to our family, but I think that gives you an insight into my brother, who is an extremely successful man and so honest and good and loving as the day is long. And I think that he really did leave a tremendous legacy. So I was able to retire from my job a little early, so I was available to help care for him. And that too was a gift.
Wow, Deb, that's, when it's somebody in your family, it's actually you that it's happening to. So I know how dear your brother was to you and how much you did to help him. And were you the primary caregiver for your brother?
No, my brother was married. So his wife, although she did work because she was able to keep the medical benefits that way, he lived in New York State. So I would go for a week or 2 weeks at a time, go home for a week, go back and forth.
Well, did your brother's wife take care of herself by bringing in other help? Are you aware of that?
Yes, there were. Yes, there were 3 other home health care workers that helped because my brother was 100% locked in and needed 24/7 care.
So Deb, you and I have both talked about this. I lost my younger brother as well. And we were both caregivers on some level. Maybe we did different things, but we both were there for our brothers. So how did you, because I could so relate to going through this journey, even though maybe our experiences were similar but different. Like, how did you keep your strength and your spirits up while you were going through this with your brother?
That's a really great question, Lisa. And I don't think that anyone always keeps their spirits up during this journey. It's one that I've always found inexplicable. I think that for people who don't live this journey, it's always been almost impossible for me to capture the words to really describe it. But one of the things that I can tell you, as I think only siblings understand, I think that sibling relationship is so unique and so special. And one of the things that Johnny and I did share was our sense of humor. So one of the things that no matter how sick he was, we would laugh together. We had kind of a silly sense of humor, and not everybody understood it, but we would just really laugh every day. So, and that could be a challenge too, because you have to think, of funny things or funny things would just come to you. I don't know, but
That's
Did you see?
that's so great that
Did,
that's so great that you could find some humor while going through such a horrific and hard time. I
Mhm.
can completely relate to that. And we tried to laugh with my brother and find the joy, little joys in things, just to keep almost like not pretending that it's not happening, but just how can we still enjoy life?
Right.
That's so I can appreciate that you guys would still find the joy in the laughter.
Mhm.
when they say that a person has ALS, then we realize that the whole family has ALS if they really care because they're so involved. Deb, did you find yourself prepared to be helping your brother with ALS? What was there something in your life previously that you did that turned you into such a reliable, caring person?
I think that my basic personality as a special education teacher and just a very empathic person, just leads me to sometimes caregiving roles. I think, much like my previous answer, I don't think there's anything in the world that can prepare you for this journey. But I can liken it a little bit to many, many years ago when the AIDS virus hit the scene in our country, and people were so frightened of it, and people were losing jobs and their health insurance, and gosh, even funeral homes were refusing to bury people. And a dear friend and colleague of mine had contracted the virus, and most of the people surrounding him left me except for a small group, and I ended up being one of his caretakers. And I saw the power, the absolute power of advocacy groups back then. And so, although I don't think that prepared me for my personal journey with my brother, which was quite different, I think it was just another facet of my life that involved caregiving and advocacy. If
Well,
that
Deb,
makes sense.
speaking about advocacy, you've been very active and giving a lot of your time and energy to helping others with ALS. I don't know if it was happening while your brother had ALS, but I know after his passing, you've been very active. So do you want to share some of your advocacy efforts that you've been involved with? And we'd love to hear
Sure,
about your efforts with our speech study as well.
sure. So I can tell you that while my brother was sick, before he passed away, I didn't really do much advocacy. And his death, although expected, was extremely traumatic because he was the last living member of my birth family. My parents and my other two brothers had died very young. So it was a lot to take in. And my family very quickly dwindled to my daughter and I. So I just happened to have been online reading something about a person who was doing a movie who had ALS, Patrick O'Brien. He had made the movie Trans Fatty Lives, and I had donated to that previously, but I contacted him and we ended up going to the TDI White Coat Affair, which is a fundraiser in Boston. And we, went for his birthday, and that kind of got me involved because I was sitting next to a woman who runs a nonprofit that helps people. And we were talking, and I thought, gee, this is something I would like to get involved in. So we're in Boston, I live in New Jersey, and it turns out this woman lives right up the road from me in New Jersey. So we definitely felt it was meant to be. And that's the HARC ALS organization that was named after her dad. And that's, so I ended up doing a major fundraiser in memory of my brother to benefit HARC once a year, and just doing advocacy work with various groups online, helping people individually. And then I got a call from Indu Navar one day, and she told me about this brainchild organization she had in mind and invited me. And just after talking to her for 5 minutes, I knew that that too was a good fit and a right fit, and where the direction of my life needed to go.
Well, we're
Wow.
lucky to have.
Yeah, it's amazing how the pieces of the puzzle fall together. And
I
so,
know, right?
yeah. So, Deb, what's happening with your speech project that you're working on?
So the speech project is very, very exciting. As you all know, we're all trying to get our participants. There's been indication that speech can give us information for early diagnosis and a biomarker. And EverythingALS has created this study that really is, I think, monumental because of the amount of people. Oftentimes studies with ALS have much fewer people, and therefore, results that may not be positive. It doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't have gotten positive results, but there's just not enough people to capture all the different types of ALS and people who have it. So this study with 1,000 participants is very exciting. The other part that I think is really exciting is that it's really, in some ways, leading the way in collaboration and open data, because our data is going to be open to all the ALS researchers currently. We have relationships with Mass General, Harvard, MIT, Austin UT, Google Euphonia, MIT. And any of the other large or small researchers who want to use the data, it is open to. And we know that we don't know where that answer is going to come from, whether it's going to come from one scientist working alone or a big group of scientists that have been collaborating. And hopefully everyone will collaborate and we'll get the answers we're looking for to push forward and get people treatment and cure for this disease.
Well, the exciting thing is our study is already showing results. We can't really talk yet about what's happening, but what we are doing is working, and that's the good news. So we need to get more participation, right, from people. And you've been doing what? A ton of onboarding, right?
Correct. Yeah, so I do the onboarding and the orientation for the program, and I do a lot of inviting people to participate in this study and be part of the answer to this, to really take 10 minutes of their time per week. And that's really all it is, on this very user-friendly, your own schedule, to be part of something huge that will make a difference in many, many people's lives, hopefully. And that's our aim. And I believe that it will.
And it's so nice that it's all inclusive, where not all inclusive, but there's no exclusion criteria. Unlike most clinical trials, a lot of people are excluded, so if people have limb onset, right, or bulbar, they can join our study.
Well, the criteria for the study is to really just be, as you said, over 18, have a United States address. We would like to have 500 people not diagnosed with the disease, 500 people diagnosed with the disease. And right now we're getting people signing up, but we need more to hit that number. Mm-hmm. And we particularly need males who are not diagnosed, although everyone, don't think that we don't want, but we're a little short on that particular subgroup.
Yeah, and where are we at with families? Because it's good to have, if you've had somebody, like I'm a participant in the study because I had a brother with it. So are we getting a lot of family members?
We're getting across the board, a sampling of family members, people who have the genetic mutation, people who have sporadic onset. And as far as the non-diagnosed, as I said, we're getting people of all ages, genders, nationalities, people with accents, not accents. So it's really a very inclusive study that I think for the user friendliness of it, 10 minutes a week, as I said, on your own schedule, it's really unique. You don't have to travel anywhere. You're doing it from your own home. And it's something that can really make a person feel good. You're really, really making a difference. And I think that you not only make a difference on the scientific level, oftentimes ALS is a very isolating disease. People feel forgotten. They're in their home, they don't sometimes get out much, and they really, don't feel that people are recognizing they're there. And I've heard this. So one of the great joys of the work that I'm doing is that I talk with people every day who have ALS, many people who are diagnosed that for a while, and I get to tell them, here's this person who doesn't have a family member with ALS, but they just heard about the study and they're signing up. People from all walks of life. I just had a group of people from a dinner party. All 6 of them signed up right off the bat. So it's just really nice to have not only make a difference in the scientific community for the treatment and cure, but really to make a personal difference in a person's daily life.
Wow. What do people need to do to sign up?
So you could go to everythingals.org, click on the research button and go to the speech study, or you could just go to everythingals.org/research.
Wow. Deb, it sounds like all of the energy that you're putting into this project is energizing you. How are you using that energy? And what I'm really asking is, how are you keeping your energy up during this?
That's a good question, McFinn. And I don't know that I have a great answer for that other than to use this very, very overused word of passionate. I've always been, I loved my career. I've always loved young people, working with young people, but I don't think I have ever felt quite as passionate about anything else. And yourself, Lisa, the rest of the Everything ALS team, amazing, amazing people to work with. And I think that honestly, we energize each other. I think that we at the Everything ALS team, that is also a unique dynamic where we have so much to offer each other. And as far as support and energy and good vibes all around.
Well, that's for sure. Do you find this journey has changed you, in some way, shape, or form?
If what, Lisa? I'm sorry.
I do feel, has this journey, because I look back and I think about these things for myself. So I'm asking you what I ask myself. How have you changed, if at all, because of what you've been through?
Right. Yeah. No, of course, the ALS journey, I don't think anyone is not changed by it. I think no one is unscathed by it. But I think that there's also, at least for me, an appreciation for life that I have never had. I've always been a person who lived in gratitude, but there is, all those little sayings that you hear, stop and smell the roses, they take on a much deeper meaning. And I think that, and it's also brought me to some of the saddest depths of grief that I've ever felt. Losing my baby brother to this disease, seeing what he had to go through, I really had to sometimes compartmentalize thoughts in my mind because it was too difficult. But on the other hand, like I said, I am here, and I do believe personally that there's going to be a day that my brother will be reunited with his family, and we'll be reunited with, and I'll be reunited with, the rest of my family who are my guardian angels right now.
That is a
They
wonderful
watch
way.
over my daughter and I.
That's a wonderful
And
way
you have
to look at what's happening with you now, with your daughter, with your brother who is cozy right now with the rest of the family. I think having that faith that life goes on is really an energy that propels each of us, that when things get really tough, there is an end game called pure love. And I think that that's where we're all headed. I think each of us has a journey. Lots of people don't have ALS, but they have something else that's terrifying them. And so
Mhm.
this disease can be translated into so many other diseases. And what it all comes,
Yeah. It's funny when you said that, you just reminded me of something. I had a very dear friend. Her name was Ursula Powell. She died 2 years ago. She was a Holocaust survivor. And we would always talk about how pain and grief is relative. I would go and talk with her. She was much, much older than me. And I would sometimes say, "Oh, Ursula, I shouldn't be complaining to you of all people." And she would stop me and say, "No, you pain is relative. My past was my past." And I think you're right. I think that everybody does. There are many diseases, many rare diseases. This is the one that affected our life, and it put us on together on this Everything ALS team. And I do think there's a reason that I'm the survivor of my family, the cheese that stands alone with my daughter. And I think that we're all here to make a difference. We're here because our work on earth isn't done yet. I mean, I don't know how I'll be reunited, whether it'll just be in a form of energy or love, as you say, but I do believe that we will be. But in the meantime, we're here to do some work and to love life. We're not here just to be sad and sorrowful. I mean, it's a beautiful world, and life can be really beautiful. So we have to balance it.
Definitely gives us a sense of purpose in keeping our loved ones alive. That's for
Mhm.
sure.
it's a beautiful thing, Deb and Lisa, that both of you had a family member pass away, that they propelled you into this organization. None of us, I think, would be here unless it was a personal mission that we all wanted to complete. So
Right.
it's a real
Yeah.
honor to be on your team, Deb.
Oh, thank you. And I feel the same. And I think that Lisa can attest to this. I think that when a sibling passes away, it is such a unique loss that society doesn't always recognize, because here you had this person, either you knew them every moment of their life, or they knew you every moment of your life. The keeper of history that's so unique that no one else holds, no one else can hold the shared experiences of a family. And it is really quite an amazing dynamic. And
It's your blood. It's your blood. It's like it's your memory. It's all you know. And it is weird when that's gone. Yeah. I mean, I still have to look back and go, "Oh my gosh, who's not here?" Like it's still, takes your breath
yeah,
away. But
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
when people are not here,
But
then
then
you realize what the inspiration was that they provided, because
yes.
they're the reason that we're together today. So it's a great
That
celebration.
is my brother's legacy, right? That is my brother's legacy to me. My brother's legacy is, I think finding this beautiful group of people in Everything ALS and the ALS community at large, and and the love that we hold for our loved ones and each other. I've always said with all the people I've met who have been diagnosed with ALS, it seems like this beast, this disease that I describe as a monstrous beast, has some radar for finding the nicest, kindest people. And
I
to get this disease.
I totally agree. When I visit with families, they are like angels. It's when this disease comes to your family, your whole family's got a job, and usually it's hard, and usually there's a lot of crying going on. But in between the crying and the thankfulness is the acts of kindness that each person gives to that person who has the ALS. So I don't think there's any finer group of people that we could get together with, because all of us being affected this way makes us all have a common bond and a common vision that this will end one day with a lot of effort on our part.
I do believe that. I believe that it takes really that, as that whole village it takes a village. And that's the way it is with this disease. We need our advocacy groups. We need the groups like HARC that supply people with their needs for daily living and help them with mini grants. We need people who are working on the legislation so people can get the expanded access for the pharmaceutical drugs that are out there. We have a former team member, Michelle, who really took that on, Michelle Lorenz and her group. And then our group, who I think kind of pulls so much of this together and is steering a ship. And I think we're going to pull it all together and find a treatment.
Yeah,
and then
it's really about the research, right? That's what separates us, is we're really research driven. And there's other great organizations like CC, Compassionate Care ALS, who really focuses on the care. I mean, everybody plays such an important role. You need to do the research to get to the cure, but you need people that are there taking care of.
There are people who, right, there are needs that are not being met right now. And then we have people like Donna York from HARC, Ron Hoffman from Compassionate Care, IML, and there's so many of them. I don't want to just name a few, but we will work together. And as our mission, we at Everything ALS, it's care to cure. We start out by caring with our webinars and giving people the information they need, with McFinn's guidance, being available. So many of our team members are available just to talk to people or families who are going through this. And then working with other organizations or directing people, and that's how we're going to slay this beast. And I don't feel that any of us are going to rest until we do slay the beast.
Thank you.
Deb, thank you for
so
being
much.
Today.
This, Deb, your efforts combined with the rest of us, we are all juicy. We all have the chutzpah that we're going to get this taken care of. So I want to thank you for being a beautiful guest today for us. This whole organization has brought together such wonderful people, but we need those other people that are around also. So I'd like to just say a little bit to those people who might be listening today that thank you for joining us in this journey of exploration and digging deep into the souls of those affected by ALS and those working tirelessly to put an end to this devastating disease. Your stories and work matter so much to us and to so many. So please keep sharing and continuing to further the research in ALS so we don't see another person suffer. Do you know anyone who suffers from ALS? Are you a researcher, a neurologist, or pharma? If so, we would love to hear from you. For more information, please contact us at everythingals.org, or you can contact info@everythingals.org. Thank you so much, Deb, for coming today. Thank you, Lisa. It's always a wonderful event because we're messengers. And the message that's coming out is we're on your team and we need you on our team. So we'll see you at our speech project, hopefully. And if we don't, we'll be working for you anyway. So to all of you who have visited with us today, have a fine rest of your day. And we will see you back at our next podcast. Thank you, Lisa and Deb.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you both.
Bye all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now.